Welcome to the Level Up English podcast, the best place to come to practice the English language, learn about the British accent and culture, with me, your host, Michael Lavers. Hello, English learners, and welcome back to the Level Up English podcast. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you are watching on the YouTube version or you're listening on the audio version. So both versions are available, but whichever one you're choosing to watch or listen on, welcome to you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a fantastic week. And today is going to be another special, longer conversation episode. And I'm really excited for this one. Today I'm going to be talking with Shawn, who is from Hanoi in Vietnam. We got in touch over Instagram and he has a great attitude towards learning and teaching as well. So he mentioned to me that he has many different jobs and many different things going on at the moment, but one of them include teaching English at night and also uploading some English learning content onto social media like Instagram and TikTok. So we're going to get into that a little bit more today. So in this episode, we talk about a wide variety of topics. We talk a little bit about Vietnam. Shawn also teaches me some phrases in Vietnamese, so stick around to the end if you want to hear me try to pick up some Vietnamese phrases very, very badly. We talk a bit about the TOEIC exam and how Shawn got such an amazing result. We also speak about the possible benefits of studying English using the TV show Friends. And we also go into more detail on the bonus podcast today. So on the bonus episode, I created a quiz for Shawn. And in this quiz, I basically test his knowledge of Friends using some English expressions from the TV show. If you like the TV show Friends, that could be a lot of fun as well. But we get into a lot more today, so I really hope you enjoy it. And if you have any trouble following along with what Shawn or I are saying, then the transcripts might be of some help to you. So remember, the membership site is where you can get the transcripts. And these are like subtitles for all the episodes I've ever done. It takes a long time to do, but I think it really can help you. And the membership site is where I'm putting basically all of my attention these days. So in addition to transcripts, members can join regular group classes, access the private podcast, join courses to improve your writing, prepare for the IELTS exam, and pronunciation. There's a lot going on over there. I'm updating it all the time. Another thing I'm doing is I also occasionally do live versions of the podcast, and it's only available to members. So that's another thing that I've got coming up very soon over there. But if that's interesting for you in any way, you can go to levelupenglish.school and click on the members button at the top. Okay, without any further delay, let's get right into our conversation with Shawn. Hope you enjoy it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Michael, and I've got a very exciting guest to share with you today. On the podcast, I like to share opinions from experts, from teachers, language learners all around the world, and hear different opinions from different backgrounds as well. So I'm excited to bring you Shawn today, all the way from Vietnam. So thank you for joining me, Shawn.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. I would say a word in Vietnamese. Xin chào mọi người. That means hello, everyone. Hello to all of the audience from all around the world. Hello, the listeners. My name is Shawn, and so that's my English name. I'm currently living in Hanoi, which is a capital city of Vietnam. And once again, thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of your postcards and your kindness as well. Thank you so much. I can't believe it. My dream came true today. Yeah.
Thank you for coming. How do I want to have a practice. Xin chào ngọ. How do you say it?
Xin chào mọi người. Okay.
Xin chào mọi
người. Yes, that's good. Yes, perfect.
I think I told you before, I went to Vietnam a couple of years ago, and the language was the hardest. It's like the hardest language I've ever had to practice. Like the pronunciation is so tough.
Yeah. Yes, there are 6 tones in difference in Vietnam, and luckily I was born in here, so I don't have to study Vietnamese as a second language. Luckily, I felt really lucky.
Yeah, of course. And English, your English sounds amazing too. So maybe you could
Thank you
give us
so
a bit
much.
of an intro as to
Mhm.
why, well, I don't know, like why you got interested in English, because I know it sounds like it's a hobby for you. And
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit about your background, like what you're doing now and that kind of stuff.
Okay. So when it comes to my background study in English, it's a whole long story, to be honest. Yeah. So I've been learning English since I was around 10 years old, just like the grade three, and I have to say it's quite late compared to the children nowadays, because they got a lot of more chances to watch YouTube or to get involved into international schools to study English really early. But it's a norm in non-English speaking countries. So first thing first, I was being taught to learn all the kind of grammar rules and to remember tenses. Yeah, I was taught like more than 13 or 14 tenses in English, and I have to learn all of them by heart. Okay, but for the majority of it, I just can't remember all of them, and I don't understand why do I have to study English at all. Nobody told me that. So I just consider English as a subject. Maybe I need to study it to make my parent happy, I guess so, and to get a better GPA at school, and that's all. And wait until I moved into college. So I need an English certificate to get into the internship of a logistic company. Yeah, they do require me some kind of English certificate stuff. So that's why I have to study more English. So it's not really a kind of colorful and background about the reason why I study English. Like I was forced to do it most of the time.
Yeah,
and
that's so interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and what was I? Okay, so when I moved into college, I took the test, and it turned out like it's not so bad. It's not so bad, and you know, like most of the things like Asian culture, like when you got 18, you're still living with your parents, that kind of thing. You don't have to move out, or you don't have to live on your own in a big city like the Western culture. So I'm still living with my moms, but it's and my dad, and of course it's kind of embarrassing if I'm 20 years old already and I still begging them for money, and for the things I like. I don't want to do that, and I know a little bit of English, so I decided to become a teaching assistant to make money from that job. So, and one more really big reason why I took that job is finally I got a chance to meet a native speaker, to meet uh, more people for all walks of life who want to study English. And I got more chances to speak English, to practice my speaking skills, which was, really terrible back then. And yeah, and the more I worked in that place, the more I become happier person. I see that the students they growing up every day, and they just become the better version of themselves, right?
Yeah, it's a good
They
feeling.
got
Yeah.
more, yeah, they got more chances when it comes to work or to study, and they got scholarship as well. So that makes me really happy, and that's why I become an English teacher right now.
Nice.
Okay. Mhm.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting you said about like learning all those tenses, and it sounds
Yeah.
like you said it didn't really help. Like
Hmm.
I guess the big thing that stood out to me was that you said you didn't really see any reason like why are we learning English?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
from what I hear from like my students, that's a big problem in school is like
Yeah.
schools will make them learn English, but they don't know why it's important. They don't maybe it's not seen as like an international language. It's like why are we learning this language from the other side of the world, from England or
Yes.
America?
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like we need to have more emphasis in schools on why it's important and
Yeah.
what it can help you achieve. But it
Yeah.
sounds like you
Definitely.
found that out as you've
Yeah.
got older anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I wish that I could have somebody tell me that earlier a little bit. So why do I have to study? Oh, is when you know more than one language, you just open a big door for your future, definitely about jobs and about like knowledge and also about traveling as well. So English is definitely like one of the most important languages and more one of the most spoken languages in the world. So you know, learning English or studying English as soon as possible. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
for sure. I mean, if you're willing to share, what doors has it opened for you? Or maybe it's
Okay.
yet to be seen. I don't know.
Yeah. So my story is kind of weird because I was so back to my colleagues. I was studying land management. Yeah. So it's nothing involved into English at all. Yeah. like I don't have to study that much of that high level of English at all. I just like good enough to be, qualified to graduate. That's all. But I want to, just improve my English a little bit higher to get my job as a teaching assistant. And yeah, probably one kind of not so big for everyone, but like a big door for me. I can make more money when I am a teaching assistant compared to the other part-time jobs for students in Vietnam. Like we will play. I remember that time I worked in a clothes shop. Yeah, I selling all kind of clothes like pants or gym equipment. I only got paid like around 14,000 Vietnam dong, which equal to like how many dollars? I can say like less than $1, of course. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
0.7 or something. It's like 70 cents of US dollars back then. And just you just can't buy anything with that. So I know English, so I get involved into new job and I got more money, and that's a good part. Of course, you need money to survive in this cruel world. And I meet new people. I meet new native speakers, and they are from all around the world, from the UK and from the US. One from Spain as well. She's super good. She's super nice, and they doing yoga and doing so many activities that I can get involved, and I got more new hobbies from them. So I can just broaden my network
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
and all kinds of things. So that's another big goal
Yeah.
for me.
I
Mhm.
mean that's what I found with my work as well. Like just meeting
Mhm.
people from different cultures around the world. It's
Yeah,
amazing just to open your mind and hear different opinions. And maybe you found the same with what you've done as
yeah.
well. Yeah, but about the
Mhm.
money stuff too. I think Vietnam was like the craziest country in terms of currency that I've been to, where
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember the exact exchange rate, but I had maybe like a million Vietnam dong, right? If it sounds like so much money. Like I'm a millionaire, I'm rich. But then if you convert it to pounds or dollars, it's just it's not actually that much. I would like to ask you what kind of obstacles you've had to overcome in your
Mhm.
English learning journey. I mean, obviously your English now sounds amazing. I know you said
Thank you.
to me privately before you're kind of interested in the
Mhm.
British accent, and you do sound quite British to me. So I guess
Yeah.
you've worked on that as well. So maybe you could
Yeah.
talk a bit about the obstacles you've overcome, and maybe any that you're facing at the moment as well.
Yeah. So probably back in the days when I first studying English, especially when it comes to speaking, like everyone else, I got so much trouble with my speaking accent because some kind of some kind of word or some kind of the phonetic, some kind of sounds in English, we don't have that in Vietnamese. So I have to make completely different sound. For example, like j or ch or the, and that makes me really fluctuated. Really makes me trouble in that. And the other thing is like I was taught to have like really precise in every single sentence that I have to say. Like I need to be using the correct grammar. I need to use the correct pronunciation and absolutely like flawless sentence whenever I say. And it's really hard to maintain to speak and to to say it correctly in grammar and in pronunciation at the first moment. And even right now, when I got nervous or when I just don't feel comfortable, I just make a lot of mistakes when speaking. Yeah. So I'm really afraid that people might judge me if I say something wrong. Like, for all of the years you learn, that's all what you got, and you still make a very simple grammar mistake like that. I can't believe it. So that's all the things that I'm afraid of. And I'm also afraid to speak with the native speaker as well, because like they probably gonna hear like really itching in their ears if I make mistakes. That's all. That's all in my head. Uh-huh. I don't know for the listeners or from my friends or from the native speakers as well, but that's what I imagined when I speak like that, when I speak English. So, overcoming shyness, definitely one of the hardest parts. Mhm. And but things has changed when I worked as a teaching assistant. I'm not afraid of it anymore because one of my friends, one of the teachers just told me that, actually, you know, your English is much better than my Vietnamese. So that really brought me a lot of confidence. Yeah. So like, so he can just say a simple few words like you, like cảm ơn, like thank you in Vietnamese, or say hello, xin chào. But I think it's really cute already. Yeah, just a few words like that, like, oh, so cute. How can a native speaker speak Vietnamese? And I think that's a lot of. I really appreciate it when you can speak my language, and yeah, I think that's cute. So, and she also told me that, oh, actually, you're quite cute when you speak English. And I say, oh, really? Thank you so much. And that brings me a lot of confidence. Okay, I'm going to speak more English and I'm not afraid of making mistakes anymore. And all right. Um, so that's
Yeah.
how I overcome the shyness when speaking English. Uh-huh.
That's so
And
important, isn't it? It's just
yeah,
not worrying about the mistakes because no one judges you. No one really cares, to be honest. And what I
yeah,
always say is that when someone's listening to you, people are focused on trying to understand you. So very
yeah,
often, if you do make a mistake, a native
mhm,
speaker will just skip over it. They won't even notice because they're just trying to understand what you're saying. And even if they do notice, it doesn't matter. No one cares. I
mhm,
think it's so important
mhm,
to realize. And
yeah,
I imagine it is hard because you've got so many other English learners to compare to. Millions of
yeah,
people are learning English, and
definitely.
it's easy to compare yourself to them. Whereas if I learn
Mhm.
Vietnamese, I can just get to like a intermediate level, and I'm
Yeah, that's
I'm better than most people because there's not as many learners compared to English, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
And yes, so could be the things in it. Could be the quote for the day, like you should not compare yourself to people at all. Just compare you to yourself from yesterday, right? Like if you can
Yes,
just be a
exactly.
little bit better than yesterday, that's a good thing already. You don't have to do that much. Just day by day, gradually become better than yourself. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. Great
Mhm.
attitude. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like people would want to know this question too because I get so many questions about the British accent. And
Yes.
I spoke about this a lot in the past about my thoughts on getting a British accent and things like that.
Yes.
But would you have any advice for those learners, like how to? Well, I mean, how did you develop your accent? Did you have any specific techniques, or maybe you just you know I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Okay. Yeah. So the British accent, absolutely the reason why I was here, and that's why I found you. I just searched on the Spotify like British accent podcast, and I saw you on the top of
Oh,
everybody.
cool, nice.
So that's why I listen to your podcast all the time. And I've been speaking with American accents since I was studying English because that's what we were taught in school. And most of the TV shows or the things that we can entertain, we can watch, we can listen to, they all in the Americans one. Most of the things. I don't want to say everything, but most of the things. But I really love the British accent after watching Harry Potter, of course. This one of the best shows ever. So I just found it really like an intriguing accent to learn. And probably my advice, like I got the basement in pronunciations, So it'll be much easier for me to change the accent. So a lot of people could think like, oh, accents is something like it's really big, and you need to have the American accent, you need to have the British accent, and your Viet accent, my Vietnamese accent, is that's not good. But I just told them like, oh, accent is does not matter. It doesn't matter at all. It's all about your pronunciation. If you still can pronounce the word correctly, no matter what accent you have at that moment, it doesn't matter, right? It's still right, and it's still okay, still magnificent. You definitely can get a high score when you speak with a different accent, with your even your Viet accent. It's completely fine, and you need to learn the pronunciation first. So in English, there are 44 sounds, like in the International Phonetic Alphabet. That's what I learned, and I was teaching for my students. So if you want to learn the accent, just learn the pronunciation first. 44 sounds you need to work on, and when you master all of them, you can choose the accent that you want to follow. So I chose British accent for a couple of moments, for a couple of months recently. Yeah, I just changed my voice into the British accent for 5 or 6 months recently.
How did you
And
do that? How did you focus on British accent?
oh yes, all right. Just back to the key things. Like I listened to your podcast, of course. Before that, I also searched on the internet what are the differences between American accent and British accent, and I found out a lot of videos on YouTube. So we got like there are specific sounds that Americans and British pronounce. For example, the T really strong and T in the British instead of the D in American, or just like there's no R sound in British. I mean, like in like girl or door, like your lips and your tongues will not curly like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And mhm. So instead of jump right into practicing or listening to your podcast or practicing as shadowing, that technique, right? Like
Yeah,
shadowing,
like copying what people are
yeah,
saying, like
like
out loud.
copying and yeah, like mimicking. I just learn the differences first. I
Mhm,
know
mhm.
how it works, and then I move into shadowing and like copying things, because oh, now I understand why people make that sound but not American sound. So yeah, so my advice for you is like to learn how the sounds work first, and also understand the differences between British and American, and right after that just jump into listening to podcasts and listening to as many as British materials as you can. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
that's my advice.
I think that's exactly what I would say too. That's fantastic. Just like
Yeah.
so like learn the basics. Like there's some really
Mhm.
big differences, as you said, the T and the D and the R. Like these sounds are very
Yeah.
different. But yeah, I would say some people spend too much time like looking at really small differences
Yeah.
that don't really matter. I think once you learn the basics, you can just get into it and maybe have that
Mhm.
immersion, right? And
Mhm.
listening and speaking you could practice, but yeah, listening, everything you're experiencing, try to do it in the accent you want to pick up on.
Yeah.
And I think people will pick it up naturally over time.
Mhm.
And it's also interesting, you mentioned this briefly, that like many exams, for example, I don't think any exams will uh they won't give you bad points for having
Yeah.
an accent.
Yeah.
Whatever accent you have, they
Definitely.
don't care. They will
Yeah.
mark you down for pronunciation mistakes, but not accent, because there's many accents in the world, and there's no kind of standard English accent. There's no correct English
Yeah.
accent. So I think that's
Mhm.
important to point out, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. I could talk forever on that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've done it before, so maybe I'll save it for today.
Yeah. All right.
And you also, in your message to me before, you also mentioned your TOEIC score. TOEIC is the English
Oh
exam,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
And you had a very high score, almost perfect score, if I recall.
Yeah. It's not that
How
high.
did you get that?
All right. So I mentioned earlier that like the certificate that my colleague required me for graduations, that's a TOEIC one. So the English certificate that most of the universities in Vietnam require back in the days. Now it's IELTS, but back in the days, like 5 or 6 years ago, most of the universities in Vietnam require you a TOEIC certificate as
I think
a
it depends on the country too sometimes.
yeah
Test of
yeah
English for international
for
communication.
international communication.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. And IELTS, right? It's different from IELTS. So the TOEIC is all of the material and all of the languages that are used to make that test is in like a business English, most of the thing, like business English. Like they got writing email, like they read the coupon, they read the promotions, an email about like products, advertising campaigns, promotion, all kind of that related to really business and commercial English. So it's really practical when it comes to right after graduation and you move into some kind of companies to work for them, and especially in using in the daily conversation as well, right? And when you want to write an email to somebody else there, you also need that kind of language material in the TOEIC test to write to them, and that's why I chose the TOEIC. And how to get a higher score in that is a big question. Because okay, probably if I have to say one on the top of my head, like a lot of students really fancy doing the test, really love doing the test all the time. They test themselves again and again and again, and some of them just told me like I've been doing more than 20 tests, but my score just it's the same. It doesn't improve and it doesn't going up. And I just told them the reason why, because like when you're testing, it's a test, right? It's a test. So when you're doing it, it's just like test your ability at the moment, and it's very like temporary things, like a specific situation, a specific moment when you're doing the test. That's your language ability, and if you keep doing that all over again, just keep doing the test, like you will test yourself again and again and again, but not improving your language ability at all. You have to look really deeply into the test to find out what is the mistake that you have made in the previous test and work on them and find out. Sometimes it's even more important when you find out the mistakes than you got a correct one luckily or randomly. So yeah, you need to work on more about like revising and doing revisions on the previous test, and when you've done all of them, and move on to the next one, is more important.
So learning from your mistakes is a big
Yeah,
thing.
it's a
Not
big
just
thing.
guessing every time. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Um,
testing
how,
testing all the
how
time.
long would you recommend, or how long did you take to prepare? How much time did you spend studying before your exam?
In order to get the score that I'm having right now, like 980 out of 990, I think it took me 2 years actually. That's a big time. Yeah, that's a big time. And in that 3 years, I didn't really like sitting on the table and doing my test all the time. No, I didn't do that at all. Maybe I do that when I learn all about the basic thing, properly learn about the tenses and then grammar again, but not everything, not all the time in 3 years. I also going outside, and I also involved in the speaking club, English speaking club as well, and also talking to native speakers, and and I and I learned English from everywhere, as you just recommended on the podcast. Like you literally can turn all of the things around you, immerse yourself into English, like change your language in your phone into English instead of your mother tongue, or when you look at something, trying to to pop up the sentences in English instead of Vietnamese or instead of your mother tongue. So day by day, I get better.
Yeah, I like that. So it's almost like integrating it into your whole life, not just saying
Yeah,
I'm going to study for the exam
yeah,
20 minutes every day. It's part of your life. It's in your head.
yeah,
It's in your entertainment. Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it. And yeah, I wanted to ask that question because I get a lot of students coming to me like, not to badmouth them or anything, but I've got an exam in 2 weeks, Michael. Can you help me prepare? And well,
Mhm.
yeah, I can
Yeah,
try, but 2 weeks is going to, we're not going to see much progress in 2 weeks, especially if you only have like 2 4 classes. So yeah, I think just to say 2 years, not necessarily that's like the perfect length of time, but it just
yeah,
kind of sets the standard that it does take time. It's not something you
yeah.
can do the night before the
Just
exam.
obviously, yeah. You don't have to ask them by the years, how many years that we have learned, because we come from different backgrounds, right? My language ability is different than your language ability, and maybe I took 3 years, but a lot of people out there they just gonna take that result by few months. I have to say that, yeah, because their language is much better than me, and I think that you should compare to just based on the things that we have said, like the attitude, like compare yourself to you from yesterday, and that's all you need to do. And you don't have to sit on the table to study. You literally can study from anything that you have, like podcasts. The things that you're making right now is really amazing.
I've also
Mhm,
heard, I can't
mhm.
guarantee this is true, but it makes sense to me. I've heard some scientific studies that suggest
Alright.
that the more places you study, the better it is. Because, say, if you only study at your desk, when you
Mhm,
leave that environment, your brain hasn't made that association between, say, English and this place. So, if
mhm.
you study at your desk, in the cafe, on the train, outside in the
Oh,
park, then
mhm.
your brain gets used to thinking about English in different places. So
Uh-huh.
I think probably there's some good evidence to suggest it's helpful to study in
Yeah.
other places too.
Mhm.
You also mentioned something before, in our message about analogy about a house, which I found interesting. Do
Oh
you
yes.
remember what you were saying
Yeah.
there? Maybe you could share that.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got that when I was training. I was trained in the English center. So, the analogy about the house is like just imagine that your learning journey is like just simply like building a house. So, where can we build a house? First of all, of course, the basement, right? We're going to use the basement. We're going to build the basement
Like the
first, and
foundation, yeah.
the foundation. That's what I meant. Yeah, we're going to build the house from the foundation, and I would say like our language house. I guess so. The foundation is going to be like got three or maybe four elementals. First of all, it's like grammar. Mhm. Second is like pronunciation. Third is about vocabulary, and the fourth could be the writing, the character, right? Because some of the language that we have to learn the character as well, like Chinese or Japanese, like Korean, we have to learn different, absolutely different characters in writing. But luckily, Vietnamese and English share the same things, like Latin, right? I guess so.
Yeah, Latin
The
alphabet.
same
Yeah.
letter alphabet. So I don't have to study that anymore. So I got grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. That three elementals that you have to learn. And whenever you feel lost and you don't know going to study, or you've been studying for so long, but your English abilities isn't improving, you can start again with that three elementals. Like your grammar is not good, study grammar. Your pronunciation is not really clear, you can learn 44 sounds, and your vocabulary isn't good enough. Just learn 3,000 most common word in English. Yeah, that's where you start. Mhm. And we've done with the foundations, and now we're moving up to the columns in the building. So we got four columns, like which are four skills in English: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. Yeah, that four skills that you need to master. So you need the foundation really strong in order to hold that four columns. So you cannot just jump right into that four columns uh, immediately without the foundations. So the rooftop is going to be your target when it comes to learning English or learning any kind of language. For example, I just want to learn English for communications, but not for the test, for the TOEIC test, for the IELTS test. So we have the different rooftop. That means that we're going to do the different things in our four skills. And also for the foundations, if I study for communicating in the daily, I just learn all kinds of really basic things, like three common words, like instead of using that much of grammar rules, that much of tenses, I only going to learn like six tenses, really basic tenses, instead of all kind of different structures in order to get the highest score in the IELTS or the TOEIC. So yeah, that's the analogy that I want to
Yeah.
mention when it comes to learning new things, language.
It's so cool. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm imagining like the house visually in my head. I probably won't do this, but I think it would be cool if like we could make
Mhm.
a cartoon of that and like label everything on the
Yeah.
house. That'd be kind of cool to do to visualize it
Mhm.
more. But yeah, it makes sense to me, and I think especially in my opinion with the reading, writing, listening, speaking, it's really nice to focus on those four things. I think don't
Yeah.
neglect them. Um, and I'm wondering what we've done wrong because I hear you've got a police car outside your house and I've got one outside my house
Yes.
now. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know
really?
if we're in trouble or
Probably.
anything.
Okay. Did I say something wrong? Did I mention something politics? No.
Well, I mean, this is kind of unrelated now, but it's
Mhm.
something I've always wondered about because I stayed in Vietnam just for 1 week. It wasn't too long,
Oh.
but I
Mhm.
can't imagine how in the cities how people deal with the
Yes.
noise. So, like, does it
Of
drive you
course.
crazy? Do you get used to it?
We were born in here, so we got used to it already. Yeah, especially when it comes to the city center, very hustle and bustle, and you just can't ignore them. Like literally, your house going to be right next to the main road, uh-huh. And Vietnamese people, we do love honking. We just spam it, beep beep. It's like get out of my way or any kind of that. So we just love doing that. I don't know why. Just even the honking can tell who you are. Like if like you're angry, you're going to spam and like keep it like for 3 seconds, beep all the time. Yeah,
It's like a whole language, isn't it, of honking?
yeah. It's like honking is a whole language for us. Do you have any like out of the curiosity? Do you have any things that amazed or you are surprised about Vietnamese culture? I can explain to you.
It was a shame because when I went, I was still working, doing my lessons on my laptop, so I
Oh,
didn't
yes.
explore as much as I wanted to. And I stayed in Ho Chi Minh, another busy
Yeah.
city.
Yes, it's a
I
biggest
suppose
city.
is it bigger than Hanoi?
Yeah, yeah, it's bigger than Hanoi. Yes.
Mm-mm-mm. It was amazing. It's beautiful and it's chaotic, but I liked that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do was just I would what is it? You have Grab, is that right? The Grab like
Yes.
taxi
Yes,
service thing,
absolutely.
kind of like we
And
have Uber here, and
yeah,
I would always use the motorbike one, the bike
yeah.
one.
Have you ridden the bike before?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, every
that's a
day,
very intuitive thing. Oh,
every day
cool.
on the
That's a
bike
very
every day, and
oh,
it was
cool.
terrifying. Like he was like going in and out of the traffic, and I got this
Yes.
adrenaline. Like yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'm almost
Okay.
dying, and it's really fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm,
we, as you can see, in the Western cultures, most of the people just using their cars instead of bikes, right? But in Vietnam or in Southeast Asia, we just commute and we're just going to work or to school or anywhere we want to go by our bikes.
mhm, mhm.
Public transportations, it cannot match our need, so
Too many
we have
people to support it,
too
maybe.
many people. Yeah,
Mm,
and each of us, for example, like you living in a family has four people, so each of the person has their own bikes, so you
oh
can go
wow,
anywhere
okay.
you want using your bike to riding around is also the good thing, but it also comes with a very serious pollution in the
Mhm.
city. Probably
You
we
can
have
tell, yeah,
to
you can
cut down. Yeah.
feel your breathing is affected. I could feel my breathing was affected when I was in the
Mhm.
city. It's a shame, but
Yeah.
yeah, thinking of it, I feel like in London, it's still a huge city, right? And
Mhm.
obviously, bikes are common more so than in the countryside, but still, I think it's still very common to have cars here. And
Yeah,
I
definitely.
might be wrong, but I'm guessing it's kind of a status thing. Like people want to have their Teslas and their big cars. It's like, look how rich I am, look how important I am in my
No.
car. Um,
Yeah.
and like at least in England, like riding a motorbike is not seen as like high status. It's like it's cool. It's
Oh,
a really cool thing to do, but it's
really?
not like rich people don't have motorbikes. I think that's like
Hmm.
the image
Yeah,
here. I think it's a
yeah,
shame because I think in a big city, like having a car, I just think it doesn't make any sense. Like it's
hmm,
quicker to take the train, it's quicker to walk or take a
yes,
bicycle, you know,
definitely.
like it just,
Yeah,
yeah, it makes
yeah,
sense. But yeah, it's
yeah,
very scary going in. And the big thing, maybe
yeah.
it's not like a cultural thing, but just crossing the road is a
Oh yes,
nightmare.
that will be your very first lesson if you want to survive in Vietnam. You just literally can cross everywhere that you want. I don't want it in the highway or anything, but in the main road on the street, like block to block or the corners in the city center, you literally can go. You literally can crossing the road everywhere you want.
Mhm.
Mhm. And it does require really strong heart and really brave in order to doing that. Probably lots of the Westerners or the people from different countries got really surprised by that culture. It's a part of our
It's quite
culture. So
exciting. It's quite
yeah.
exhilarating. I feel like you can tell from the
Mhm.
foreigners, you can tell who has been there longer, because like by
Yes,
the end of the
definitely.
week, I was like crossing the road very confidently. The
Wow.
motorbikes were going around. I felt very proud of myself, and I met one
Yes.
American guy who it was like his second day there, and
Uh-huh.
he was so
And you
scared.
got
He was
panic.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, he was panicking, like, no, we can't cross. I was like, trust me, come on. And I felt so proud that I
Yes.
got that confidence, you know.
Yeah. Okay. You're half Vietnamese right now, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm, mhm. So,
One thing I wanted to touch on, another thing
mhm,
that I know about you is you
mhm,
perhaps learnt English, or at least you enjoyed or enjoy watching Friends, the TV show, right?
mhm. Yeah, I did.
I also love
So
Friends, and I'm sure many
yeah,
listeners do as well. It's popular.
yeah.
I don't know, why do you think it is so popular for English learners? Why is it like the go-to
Mm,
show for learning English?
I, I at the first moment I didn't think that essay something that I could entertain, because when I search on the internet, a lot of people just tell me like writing and just telling us like if you want to study English, you can watch Friends. That's how it came to me. I came to them by studying purpose, not by entertaining at all. But the more I watch, the more I understand why they wrote down the reason. They wrote down like you should learning English by doing that. And I think that when it comes to studying purpose, absolutely, because of the the context really really practical, really realistic to
Mhm.
us. Everything, like everybody has friends, everybody has the life like that. You also have to work, you also have to love somebody, and you also get into that kind of relationship. So I think that the viewers also share the common things with the characters in the movie, so that's why we got so in love with them. And also because of the languages they're using, I have to say, really really funny and really sarcastic sometimes, and all of them got a very great sense of humor. And it's kind of hard for the English learner to understand them at the first time. It's really hard for us because we just cannot get the joke. We
Yeah,
just
jokes are hard in
hearing,
other languages. Yeah.
yeah, the sound effect of laughing, like laughing sound effect. So I just ha, 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 ha. Maybe I just laughed and like the fake it till you make it, and I just fake understanding them way till I can really understand them. And
Yeah.
yeah, and also like they speak with a really fast pace as well, really natural speed. And definitely if we can mimic them, copying them, the probably you can sound like them a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So
There's lots of natural language, and that's a good point you brought up too. The laugh tracks,
mhm,
call them laugh tracks, the
mhm,
laughing. Some people
mhm.
hate it, but on one hand, it does tell you when there is a joke. And I suppose if
Yeah,
you're learning English, maybe you didn't realize something's funny, but then
yeah.
because people are laughing, like, oh, there's a joke there, maybe you
Yes.
can go back and try
Okay.
to find out
Didn't
why it was
understand.
funny.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
that
that's
could,
a good point.
yeah, I wonder if that's a good way to pick up on jokes in English.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah,
To the,
as you said, it's everyday situations. It's really
mhm.
binge-worthy. Do you know what I mean by binge-worthy?
Yeah, can you explain that word? That's a new word for me today.
Yeah. Maybe for
Thank you.
listeners too. Like to binge is like to watch or to do something. How can I say, like, again and again and again,
Oh,
repeatedly. So if you binge watch a show, you might watch like 10 episodes in one day.
oh,
And binge worthy means it's worthy is kind of like able, like that ending, like bingeable, binge worthy. You know, we don't say
mhm.
like trustable, we say trustworthy, for example.
Oh, yes.
So
Okay.
it's the kind of show that you can just watch all day and never get bored. It's
Yes,
really binge worthy,
definitely.
you know.
Oh, great. Okay. So I just even I've been watching it thousands of times, and even I just use them like a podcast for me. Like
Mhm.
whenever I get shower or whenever I'm free, I do the dishes. I don't have to watch them. I just listen to them, and that's all I need. I don't
Yeah,
have to
for sure.
watch the TV series at all. I just listen to them. It's already really fun already.
Yeah. Who is your favorite character on the show? Everyone has a favorite,
Uh,
right?
uh-huh. So mine is Chandler Bing, absolutely,
Ah,
the very funny man. Uh-huh. That's
okay.
Chandler,
Okay.
and he's
You're
really
the funny,
sarcastic.
sarcastic guy. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm always split between Ross or Joey. I think I prefer Ross because
Uh-huh.
he has like these funny situations, but it's always like
Yes.
embarrassing and awkward.
Like he
Maybe,
doesn't want it, but like I don't know why it always comes to him, and he just take it. Okay, and that makes us really laughed a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I can relate to him, the awkward guy. Yeah.
Mhm.
One thing that I haven't really prepared you for, but one thing that I like to do on the podcast is I record a little bonus section. So I
Yes.
have my main podcast here, and some
Mhm.
listeners will know I also have a private podcast, which is only for
Um,
members. It has a much smaller
yes.
audience, so it's kind of a chance for
Mhm.
us to be more relaxed a little bit and,
Okay.
whatever
All
like
right.
that, make any mistakes, unedited if you like.
Mhm.
And I thought for this section, I've got some questions about Friends, the TV show, for you that
Mhm.
we can chat about. If you want to hear the rest of our conversation on this secret quiz and fun topic, then you can go to the private podcast and become a member at levelupenglish.school. But okay, let's get back to the main podcast now and finish up. So, but
Mhm.
before we go, I wondered if there's any like cool Vietnamese phrases you would be happy to teach us.
Oh, I have to
Like,
say there are a lot, and I am learning that as well. Gen Z, the people who were born in 2000 and above, like 2000 to 2022, they are Gen Z.
mhm.
Mhm. And they just generate new words day by day, literally new words, like about everything. So I can teach you some, like okay, there's a word like toan. Okay, that's a
Duang,
phrase. Toan. That
duang.
means okay. Toan, like it means like it's done, it's over. And
Oh.
for example, you have been preparing a lot for the test, but you failed it. Uh-huh. And your friend asks you, "How was the test? Did you do it well?" And you say, "Toan." You say that like, it's done, it's over, and I can't make it. It's failed. You can say,
Okay, so it's
"Toan."
kind of like a
That's the
disappointment expression.
yeah,
Like, duang,
yes,
can't be
Toan.
helped. Oh, it's
Yes,
done.
kind
Yeah.
of that. Like screwed up or something like that. It
Ah,
can be used in any situations related to like you failed in something,
so it's like,
like
Michael, how was
you
your trip to Vietnam? Did you practice your Vietnamese? Duang, not good.
that's good. Or when you want to impress your like girlfriend family, and how was the date, or how was the dinner, you say bang. You say that. Yeah, literally. It's
Nice,
really
nice.
really
So it's kind
yeah,
of like
practice for a
slang.
while.
It's not like a formal word,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, it's not a formal word. Yes.
Okay, cool. That's a good one. I like that. I'll try to remember that if I meet
Mhm.
anyone. I don't know when it could be useful. Well,
Mhm.
thank you for sharing. I wonder if anyone else is learning
Yeah.
Vietnamese
Uh,
in the audience today. But
yeah.
yeah, I should say, judge my pronunciation. Correct me.
Mhm.
Gammon.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful. I say thank you.
Gammon. Thank you.
Yes, that's a good.
I don't
Yeah,
actually know
pleasure.
if you
Mhm.
have anything, but would you like to send listeners anywhere? Like, do you want to, advertise your social media or anything like that?
I think that if you guys are interested in studying Vietnamese through English, you can join my channel. It is Studying with Shawn, and you can find me on TikTok and as well as on Instagram. I don't have a YouTube channel yet, but
To studying
yeah.
with Shawn.
hmm
That's it.
If you guys have any question related to learning Vietnamese, I can help.
Fantastic. Nice. I will link
Yeah.
that up in the show notes as well. But yeah, please
Thank you
everyone
so
follow
much.
Shawn if you
Yeah.
like what he said today. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. It's been great to meet you and chat with you, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Guys, thank you so much for your kindness. You replied me and you accepted my present in here. And yeah, I really appreciate it. And it's absolutely a great way to joining your show and know more people, know more about you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Keep in touch.
Yeah. Yeah. Have a good day.
Thanks, you
Yes.
too. You have been listening to the Level Up English podcast. If you would like to leave a question to be answered on a future episode, then please go to levelupenglish.school/podcast. That's levelupenglish.school/podcast. And I'll answer your question on a future episode. Thanks for listening.